Hey guys, John and April again with you one more time, here to say if you have not subscribed yet, now is a perfect time. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button.
Yes, and if you like this video, give it a thumbs up.
All right.
Let's
See y'all
go.
in a second. Welcome to Just John and April, the relationship podcast, your place to level up your relationship. In today's episode, balance is a myth. And the word of the day.
Okay.
All right, April. We just woke up and we just found out that overnight something changed dramatically in the presidential election race. This is crazy, man.
I know. I was like, I did not think that could even happen. Seriously.
This actually feels like 2000 again.
It
Like,
does.
seriously.
It does.
I mean, we're 4 days from election day and we still don't know who the president is. But every day something new is happening. You got lawsuits being filed,
which is insane. I'm like,
you got people standing 6 feet to make sure that the votes are being counted correctly.
Right.
You have a gap that is narrowing in 4 different states. I mean, this joint is crazy. It's like must see TV.
It is. It's actually entertaining.
It is. It is. And we're flipping from news channel to news channel. Every single network, y'all. We watching every network.
Yeah, I had it on during my class time.
Like every network.
I had CNN on during my class time.
That's nice. I think you have to do
Because
that.
I told the kids this is historic. Like
Yeah,
they need to be
right.
able to see,
Yes.
and they enjoyed it.
They should enjoy it.
I just get, we just took a little time to watch or
Right,
whatever,
right.
and
I think
yeah.
that's good for them. I think our kids need to see this. Our children, of course, John and Julie, are
Yes,
very involved.
they are.
They're coming in the room all the time. They're watching it on their own iPads and stuff like that. So this is kind of a big deal. But this is good.
crazy.
I want our kids to be engaged in this way and to know how to vote, what votes mean. And let me tell you one more
Yeah.
thing I like. The thing I like about this, some of the things that are happening feel like it could turn out to be something explosive. But one of the things I like about what's happening is I think people are learning, maybe for the first time, how important their vote is.
Yes, for the first time.
I think
People are
before
feeling-
this, a lot of
people
people
for
would
the first
say,
time.
my vote doesn't count.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. I
Right.
don't really have to get out there and do
Right,
anything.
right.
But now you're seeing in these swing states, voting matters.
Yeah.
People that came out and
Right,
actually voted,
right.
and they cast their vote in many different ways. And of course, that's what's being disputed by the Trump campaign is,
Right.
we shouldn't count some of these votes.
Exactly.
Well, no, we encourage people all the time to vote because every vote counts. That's what makes our election process
What would
better.
be the point if you stop counting? I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
That wouldn't really be fair,
Right.
to those who voted.
That's the point. You know what I'm saying? And I think there
Yeah.
were some what I think they're trying to say is that there were new ways of voting that were contrived for this election because of COVID. That's what I think they're saying. And
new
that's
ways.
not fair.
I don't think mail-in vote is a new way.
Well, some states allowed some different things to happen because of COVID. So, for instance, if you got a mail-in vote, you have to mail it in. Well, they created drop boxes in some places, which wasn't
Right.
a thing before.
Right,
So if you
right.
got a mail-in vote and then you weren't comfortable that it was actually going to get to you because of or get in because of whatever, you
Yeah.
could drop it off in a drop box. And so
I
that
mean,
supposedly changed. I don't
Isn't
see
a
how that messes
mailbox
it up.
a drop box?
Right, exactly. it's a
the
drop
same
box that
thing.
got
That
carried
was
by a
just
mail guy.
specific to the ballots, which to me
I
makes it
agree.
not get
I
mixed
agree
up
with
with
you.
other stuff.
I agree with you.
I mean, there were good reasons for that. I
Yes.
mean, these people are not just idiots making these decisions.
Correct. Yes, I
they're
agree.
strategically planning and figuring things out.
Yes.
And
But
you
what
know,
I like,
don't
what
understand.
I like is that we came up with new ways for people to be able to cast their vote because we think their vote is important, and that's
Yes.
the point. The
And
point is, it's we,
safely
That's right,
cast.
exactly. It's we the people. We're the
Yes.
ones who decide what we want,
Right.
and in the end, we hope that whatever we decide is what is upheld.
Exactly. And let me tell you, if things are done right, and Trump becomes president, it was done like
It is what it
can
is.
you say?
Right.
That
The people chose
if,
him.
if everything's done, if
He's our
if-
president
if-
now because the people
right,
chose him. That's
right.
it. You know
if
what I'm saying?
Biden ends up being president, well, everything was counted.
That's
this
it.
is what happened.
And I'm saying
whether
that's
you
how we
like
have to
it
be,
or not.
and that's how we have
you
to be.
know?
And this is the thing that all the presidents before now have done. I shouldn't say all the ones in my lifetime at least, which isn't that long. They've all, no matter what side of the aisle they line up on, when everything is said and done, if that particular person that was the incumbent does not get back in, what they do is they try to unite the country. They say, hey,
Right.
we got our president now, and we need to unite behind that person. And the reality is we need to be stronger so that other countries don't look at us as sitting ducks. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And then
Well,
try to pick us off.
Al Gore, he kind of fought it a little bit.
He fought it, and then
Wanted
in
to
the end,
recount.
but then in the end, he did a concession speech,
Yeah,
and said, "Okay,
he had
I
to.
concede."
I mean,
Yeah.
you have to at a certain.
That's what I'm saying.
You have to.
So anyway,
yeah. So hopefully that will happen.
We'll see what happens, but
I just
y'all
don't
stay
want-
tuned.
I just don't want big drama to come from this. Like after,
Yeah,
like
I
it's
don't either,
big
but-
drama's happening now, but I'm talking about after, like
Yeah,
big drama
I feel like
where
it's gonna
it
happen, though,
turns to just a whole thing that we have not seen.
Yeah.
I don't want that
Yeah, I
because
don't
it's
want
been
it
that
either.
for 4 years.
right. I agree.
You know what I'm saying? We've had drama for 4 years, and
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
it's just,
Yeah,
just too much.
So
it
we will
has
see.
to end at some point.
I agree. It has
I
to.
mean,
you know
even
what
if
I'm saying?
Trump gets back in, I want to say, look, just
Right.
end the drama. Can
Right,
you
exactly.
just lead and stop doing all that other side
Right.
stuff?
Yeah, man, it's tough.
You know? Oh my goodness.
Well, anyway, let's talk about our subject for today. Our subject for today is that balance is a myth, and
I mean, I'm just hearing that. I'm like, what?
yeah. So we do a lot of provocative titles, and so I guess people are probably wondering now: do we really believe that, or are we just saying that? I want to say from the top
Right now in my life.
Yeah, exactly. I want to say from the top that yes, we believe it. And here's what we mean, because balance, I think, has two different aspects of it in your marriage or in your relationship. Okay, so there's work-life balance.
True. Yes.
And I think work-life balance is something we should strive for. And when I say balance, I guess all I really mean by that is that I don't want our work life to overtake our family life and our personal life. That's what I really mean by that.
Right.
So technically, I might not even be talking about actual balance, right?
Okay.
All I'm saying is,
Right.
whenever we say work-life balance, I think what we're talking about is the subject of too many of us allow our jobs to interfere
Right.
with our actual lives.
Exactly.
And what I'm saying is we should be striving to keep work in its corner, to keep
Right.
it at bay, to make it so that it doesn't take over. Do you agree with that?
I agree with that. And if you're going to neglect something, it shouldn't be the family over work.
Exactly. Because what
Okay.
ends up happening is over time, your kids resent you. You may get divorced. There are a lot of things that could happen
Yeah.
that you don't realize is important until you lose it. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people now that strive for whatever with their jobs and then end up losing their relationships.
Right. And what I meant was I said family over work. It should be family over work, but it shouldn't
Always.
be that you're neglecting family.
Exactly. Yes. You should not be
Over
neglecting
work.
your
You should be
family
neglecting
because of work.
Over
Right?
family.
Right,
Right.
exactly.
Did I say
Yeah,
that right?
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
You should be able to put down the work and say, you know what? I'll just have to, deal with this later, have a longer work day, this day, that day, or whatever, because my family needs me right now.
So what you're suggesting is if there's going to be an imbalance when it comes to work and family, the imbalance needs to tip toward the side of family.
Right.
That it needs to be heavier toward
Exactly.
family than actual work.
Now, I will say that some people might feel like if I do that, I could lose my job.
If you
And
do
my
it, if you go
job
too
help-
hard, yes, I think that's probably
I'm
true.
saying some people may feel like that is why they have to put work first.
Because they're scared of losing their
Yeah,
job,
and
or they
depending-
want to be able to go up the ladder or whatever, and they know if they don't put as much work in,
and
they
depending
might.
on what the job is, because
Right.
there may be some jobs that if you ain't coming in, you not. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to come in and work these hours,
Right.
And those hours might be hours that your family needs you. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just, it depends on the situation. But I do believe that family should be put first, and maybe there's a way you can do that, even though you have these work hours or your job requires you to do certain things.
I think there are certain. I agree. Yes, and I see what you're saying, but I think there are certain things you can do so that even if you're working hard, because we're not. April and I both work very hard. We're grinders, really. We grind things out, and we go long stretches sometimes where it's like work. But
lack of sleep.
it happens all the time. but what we try to do is try to make up for it in other ways that are helpful. So I don't
Right.
think it means you don't have to work hard.
Right.
But I do think it means you have to probably put in some extra time with family on the other end or do some other things. So for instance,
Yeah.
April and I will sometimes with the kids have a family night where we stay up late. So right now what's going on is basically they're in school 4 days a week now and they get Fridays off because of this whole hybrid schedule that's going on with COVID. You guys probably have something similar that's going on with y'all. So what we did last night was we stayed up late and watched a movie together as a family. And we don't normally do that, but because we hadn't been seeing each other that much this week, we decided we're going to forfeit sleep so we can stay with the kids and watch something together. So we watched Harriet.
Right.
We hadn't seen that yet. We all watched it.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? So there are ways to do that.
That's true.
Okay, but here's what I'm saying, though.
All right, what were you saying?
Okay, so you got work-life balance, but there's another aspect of balance that I think is the myth.
Okay, this is what I
And
want to
this
hear.
is the part. This is what I'm getting to.
I want to hear this.
Okay, you got the work-life thing where I think it needs to be balanced. You should be striving for balance, but there's an imbalance between husband and wife that always stands when it comes to the things that you're doing around the house and the stuff that you're doing to keep the family going that you should not expect. So I think you should be striving for balance when it comes to work-life balance, but you should not expect perfect balance when it comes to the distribution of jobs in the home.
Balance is definitely a myth when it comes to that.
Yes, and when all I'm really saying
I almost
is,
feel like it has to be. Like it has to be a myth when it comes to that.
I agree.
Like,
all I'm really saying is that when it really comes down to it, because of the circumstances and the situations of life, depending on what's happening during that time, there could be a time where I'm doing more than April in a particular thing, or she's doing more than me in a particular thing, because we're trying to keep the family going. We're trying to win as a family, and there's some things we have to do where I have to pick up the slack and do stuff, and so if I'm expecting that to be balanced, I'm always gonna be upset.
Okay, so I'm gonna,
or she may always be upset.
Right, I'm gonna be the devil's advocate here.
Okay,
because you might have it where you feel like you can't balance that. There's always gonna be me doing more or you doing more or whatever. But do you think that after a while, that imbalance ends up weighing down on one person, and then there becomes you begin to resent that person because it's imbalanced so much where it's more so on this side than that or that side than this. You know what I'm saying?
This is why our audience loves you, because there are women watching right now who are saying, John, don't be giving my husband no excuse to stop doing stuff because John says it's going to be imbalanced. Okay, first of all, that's not what I'm doing. And you're right, babe. I do think there are a lot of relationships already where a husband or a wife, because I've got some friends who are husbands who feel this same way, right?
Yes.
Where they feel like they're the ones doing everything all the time. Okay,
when no one is doing everything all the time.
That's true.
But
there are some situations where it's imbalanced in that regard.
Yes, and you could say that the everything that they think they're doing, the everything, are the bigger things. So let's be specific, because the bigger things are things like cooking. The bigger things are things like taking care of the kids, and taking care of the kids is stuff like getting their clothes ready the next day for school,
right,
or making sure their lunches are packed,
right,
or those are the everyday things that are big, that are time consuming, that really cause you to be tired at the end. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, but
I'm the one that cleans up, or you know what I'm saying?
Okay,
so those are all the we're not talking about something like, okay, well, they take out the trash once a week.
Okay, that's one thing, but you're still thinking about labor intensive stuff. So
I am talking about labor intensive stuff.
I have a couple of other things that are jobs in the home too that I would see as tradition, because all the things you just named, if you're looking at Ward and June Cleaver in the 60s, all those were traditionally the women's job. Right?
Yes, but I'm saying there are some men. You just said that.
You're right. There's some men that do that too. Yes.
And these days it's different.
You're right. But what about?
Let's just talk. Let's not. We already
you don't
have
want to bring in other
stuff.
Okay,
we already have an episode. You can go back and watch that episode. Okay. So this is about.
So stay focused.
Stay focused. Okay. We're not gonna go there.
Okay. You think the big issue is gonna be the battleground states. The battleground in this situation is always, you think, labor-intensive jobs like having to clean up the house, or having to wash the dishes, or having to cook, having to take care of the kids and do things like that. You think that's where the imbalance is, and that's where you're saying you don't necessarily agree with this idea that we should just expect imbalance and be okay with it.
Exactly. But I mean, we're not arguing about, I read a book to the kids before bed 5 days in a row.
Right.
Not talking about that, because that's
might be.
Well,
but you're right.
Now tucking in or putting the kids to bed, that might be different.
Right.
But
bath time.
Right. Bath time, because it's labor intensive.
Yes.
Okay. We're not talking about just putting them in, put covers on them, kiss them, and say goodnight, read a little story.
Or just being with the kids, you know?
Or just being with the kids.
Yeah.
And that may be labor intensive. It is.
Right.
It is.
Right.
So let me take that back. But I'm saying that may not be as high on the list as these other things because of how they make you feel when you're finished.
All right. So here's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Let's actually, first of all, I love that you did that.
Okay.
I think all the women feel like now you just stuck up for them. That's good. Now, here's what I want to do, though. I want to say.
And some men.
Some of them, barely. But anyway, here's what I want to say, though, to us. Let's take it from our specific actual lives.
Okay, let's take it
here's
from
what I'm
our
really
lives.
saying. Here's what I'm really trying to say. Balance is something you strive for. You try to do it, but it's something you should not expect if you're the person who always feels like you're doing all the work. All right. Now, I'm a acts of service person, so I think I have a tendency to feel like I'm doing more, when in fact sometimes I'm not.
It's true.
So I'm talking to people like me.
You do a lot, though.
I do a lot, but there
do.
are times when I do a lot, and there are other times when I don't do as much. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. And this is what I'm really saying when I say the circumstances of life are going to change and mean that things are going to be imbalanced, I think, all the time. Because here's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't think balance is possible when both of us work full-time jobs. Now, if April's full-time job was to be a stay-at-home mom, or if my full-time job was to be a stay-at-home dad, then I think you can have balance. Because now, all you have to do is work, and all I have to do is stay home with the kids because I'm a stay-at-home dad.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
If I'm a stay-at-home dad, that's my job. That's all I'm doing.
So you're taking care of the home. You're taking care of the things that get neglected because we're working.
Then I think it's possible. But see, when we're both working, and we both work hard, and we both work long hours, we are both in people-heavy sort of jobs where it requires that we're working after hours. April was just getting text messages or whatever, emails from her students last night about an assignment. It was like 12 midnight.
No, it was 12:50.
12:50.
12:50.
Now, mind you, she didn't see it last night because she was already asleep. She saw it this morning. But the point is, the time step was 12:50, and I'm saying that's a normal thing for us.
Yeah.
So when that's the case, I feel like the circumstances of life are going to cause imbalance. It's going to mean that sometimes I got to pick up slack where I wasn't before having to do that. And I'm saying if I don't have that mindset, I'm going to be mad all the time.
It's true.
So I'll give you an example.
It's very true.
Say what you were going to say, and then I'll give you an example I'm talking about from real life.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Looks like you're about to say something. All right, here's real life,
I was saying
right?
that's true. That's a good point.
All right, so when we moved to Durham, North Carolina, April hadn't been working right before then. April stopped working in our previous the previous school that she was in. She stopped working because John was having issues. So
that was Greenville, South Carolina.
That was Greenville, South Carolina.
Yeah.
And she was at home with John and Julia. Then we moved to Durham, North Carolina, and she started working again. And she started her job before I started mine. We moved there like a month before my job started. So her job started right away. So I was actually home with the kids myself for that entire month. And then we didn't find anybody to actually watch the kids for us probably for another 2 or 3 months.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I went probably
by yourself.
That's exactly right.
2 or 3 months after that.
I went probably 4 months where John was going to school. He was in pre-K, I think, and I was actually at home with Julia by myself, basically stay-at-home dad. But of course I was working.
Right.
My job started. I was
full time.
So I'm doing both things. So during that time, I remember feeling some kind of way because I felt like it was imbalanced, and I felt like I was doing everything.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, so a similar thing happened now. It happened again 3 weeks ago. When April went back to in-person school, there was a certain thing that we had as the way we were doing stuff around our home, and then all of a sudden it changed when she went back to in-person school. Not only was she going back to school, but it was different. It was hybrid, which means she got kids in class plus kids online. It was a lot more work. So now she gets home, she is completely zonked. So I'm doing whatever I'm doing with the kids, and then when she gets home, she don't feel like doing anything. Again, I felt like, man, it's imbalanced again. And I'm saying, if I don't have a state of mind which says sometimes the circumstances of life are going to cause imbalance, I'm going to be resentful easily.
No, that's very true. And to be able to say this imbalance is not just going to be for a few months.
It might be a while. Understand? Exactly right.
Some of that will last a couple years or more.
Depending on the
situation. I mean, we've had friends that work, they work at night.
Yeah.
And they are trying to find a job where they don't have to work at night.
Right.
But while that is happening, while they're working at night and they're getting up in the morning, and I mean, when they come home, they sleep all day.
Yep.
The only time they see the person is on the weekends. It's like that is not going to just go away.
Right.
So do you live with this resentment, or do you try to have this attitude of, okay, balance is not going to be the way we want that balance to look like?
Not all the time. And sometimes what we have to do is we have to fight through for the family.
You have to adjust. So so let's talk about that. How do you adjust? How do you fight for the family? How do you do that when you have this resentful or feeling that might come because of the imbalance that has taken place.
I think the first thing you have to do is you have to tell yourself that it's not true that you're doing everything. That's a lie. Now, it's not a lie in some extreme cases.
It may not be a lie for some people. I'm going to stop you right there.
You might be right.
Because I have seen situations where, and I have felt like I'm doing everything.
Right.
Where,
but was it true?
This is not.
Was it true when you felt it?
But let me tell you, it's never true.
Okay,
because
that's my point. It's never. But I'm saying, I don't think in any situation it's ever true that you don't do anything.
But there have been times where there's a week that has gone by, and when you were getting your doctorate, I was doing everything.
Right. That's true.
That's how I felt.
During certain times of it, because I was working on my doctorate when we first moved to Durham, and I felt everything when we first moved there. It was when we got to the dissertation part where I was writing that was like.
But because of that, I was able to say, I did not resent you.
Right.
Because I was able to say, he's doing this, I'm supporting him. Right. It's going to be over at a certain point.
Right.
And I think like somebody with a job where they have that kind of job, if you have that kind of attitude, you might be able to get through it a little bit better. But what I was going to say is, when it comes to, I forgot what I was going to say, so go ahead.
So my question to you is, do you feel like your attitude of support was what brought you through in that situation? Is because you had an attitude of, I'm going to support him during this.
That is so what brought me through.
But it also helped you to know that it was probably going to end at some point. You saw an end date.
I saw an end date.
So I think that's another key that we can give to our listeners, and that is try to have a conversation with your spouse about this and say, listen, I can't do this forever.
Right.
We got to figure out something. So
when is this going to end?
No, for real.
When is it
I got to see something like the end of the tunnel. Okay, babe, it's only going to be 5 years.
But I was going to say
or it's only going to be 2 years, whatever.
There are some people who do everything.
Okay.
So let me
do
say
everything
this.
when it comes to like home stuff that we listed.
Listen,
okay.
When we say this, we're not talking about, what else are we talking about?
Right.
Seriously, like what else are we talking about when we say doing everything? It's got to be taking care of the home. Look, if you're single and you're living by yourself, you don't have to do nothing if you don't want to.
Right. You just
don't have
leave
to do
your
nothing.
stuff the way it is.
But when we're taking care of each other, you're taking care of little people,
right?
Or not.
Right.
It can be that you don't have kids, because we don't want to make it like this cannot happen with people who don't have kids.
That's true too.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're talking about family here.
Right.
So just a husband and wife who live together.
Yes.
There are things that need to be done.
Yes.
Okay. So let's just keep it real.
Yes.
It's gonna be stuff that you do in the house.
True.
Now, if I have a schedule that's a certain way and you have a schedule that's a certain way or whatever, it may be that I am doing everything.
Right. When it comes to the home, you mean?
When it comes to the home.
Yes.
And that is the stuff. That's the stuff that you don't feel like doing because you've worked all day.
Right.
And we're talking about two people who work full-time jobs,
yes.
right?
Yes.
So what I'm saying, this is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
This is how that can be balanced.
Mm-hmm.
There are some people who do everything.
Yes.
The way that can be balanced is the person who doesn't do everything lets them do whatever it is that they do the way they do it. They don't criticize them.
Let them handle it in their time. Let them do it in their way.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I think that's what brings resentment even more so.
Mm.
So if you come home and you criticize the way that I have cleaned or that I didn't clean or dinner wasn't made at a certain time and you hungry, that's when the resentment comes. When there is no appreciation for what it is that the person do. I'm telling you, if a person feels appreciated, even at the job, y'all know this, at your job, if you feel appreciated, man, you're willing to do anything.
You'll run through a brick wall for your boss.
That's what I'm saying. You will. If you feel appreciated. Now I'm saying it's the same way with the home. And this is why there's issues with the whole balance, because we're not balanced with appreciation and appreciating our spouse. You got to be balanced there. You have to be able to show that you appreciate everything they're doing if they're doing everything in the home. And I guarantee you that resentment will not build up as quickly. You may have pockets of resentment, but I'm saying it won't be a consistent resentment feeling that ends up turning into contempt.
That's right. Which you do not want. You want to avoid that
I don't want to
even
look at you when you walk in the room.
All right. I hate the way you sound when you sit down. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Okay, so maybe that should have been the word of the day, but it's not.
What should have been the word?
Something like appreciation. But that we're not doing that.
No.
We have a different word of the day altogether.
Yes.
Our word of the day today is
equilibrium.
Equilibrium. And what does equilibrium mean, April?
Okay, a state in which opposing forces or influences are balanced.
Right. Equilibrium. Okay, so why did we choose this word? Okay, so when I think of equilibrium, I think of basically a system of balance from imbalance. In other words, your body tries to fight for equilibrium all the time, so that when
does.
something changes
Yes.
in one aspect of your body makes adjustments on the other aspect to make sure it stays balanced. And so really what equilibrium is the ability to adjust to circumstances.
Wow,
So that
I
it stays
like
balanced.
Yes.
So if you think about it like weights, the old time weights that you had back in the day where, you have a scale like this. And of course, this is balanced when they're both together. You probably can't
There
see
you go,
that.
right
There we
there.
go. All right. So what all we're saying is when something happens in this aspect of our lives, we want to do something on this side to get back to where it's balanced. That's all we're doing. That's basically all equilibrium is. And what I'm saying is fight for balance in your work life. Do not allow your work life to overtake what's happening in your family. But then expect automatically that you're not going to have perfect balance in the distribution of jobs in the home.
We might need to say this a little bit harder.
Go ahead, say it hard.
You will not.
You will not. It's not going to be perfectly
won't.
balanced there. So the point is, you have to be better at picking up
making-
the slack for each other
Yeah, but I'm saying
and
you
fighting for
have
equilibrium.
to literally be making a tally chart.
Yes,
to
and we're not
see
doing that.
How many times did I do this, or when did you doing that? When you
And we already told you keeping score is not what you do in a relationship.
No, it doesn't
No,
work. But I
no.
think showing appreciation to each other
Yes.
will help to balance that.
So that will help with the equilibrium.
It will.
I agree. That's what you got to do. So fight for equilibrium in your family.
Definitely.
Do what you got to do to make it work and make it survive.
So is balance a myth?
Yes.
I agree. But we should fight for equilibrium.
Exactly.
Yes.
Fight for it.
Yeah.
See y'all next time.
Bye, guys.